see, I'm the author of The Prosecution of George W. Bush for Murder. In that book, I present evidence that proves beyond all reasonable doubt that George Bush took the nation of America to war in Iraq on a lie under false pretenses, and therefore, under the law, he is guilty of murder for the deaths of all 4,000 American soldiers who have died so far in Iraq fighting his war. Not your war, or my war, or America's war, but George Bush's war. And we know the consequences, of course. As of now, Bush's wars cost this nation over $1 trillion with no end in sight. He's literally or virtually destroyed the entire nation of Iraq. For the first time in our nation's history, the majority of people have a negative view of the United States. And most importantly of all, let's not forget about it, we're not just talking about the 4,000 American soldiers, but over 100,000 innocent Iraqi men, women, and children and babies have died horrible, horrible deaths because of George Bush. Now, with all of those consequences, I can tell you this, because amidst all this chaos here, I feel almost like a fish out of water. I don't feel comfortable here, and I'll tell you why. Because if what I told you is true, then why aren't the Democratic representatives who are speaking to millions of people out there in America, what has happened to the soul of the Democratic Party that the Democrats are not raging against or even talking about the monumental crime that George Bush committed? They're not doing that. Is it because the Democratic Party has lost its soul, lost its way? Or is it because they're just completely spineless and, like the mainstream media that blacked out my book, do not have the guts to take on the right wing in America? Whatever the reason is, I find it absolutely disgusting that a terrible criminal like George Bush continues to this very day and in this very house here of his opposition to get by with murder. No one is taking him on. They're talking about everything else except the story of our time, the most important event of this generation, the war in Iraq. They're not talking about it here.